Olympic Games. Just a short 2-hour drive from Vancouver on the Sea to Sky Highway, and you've arrived at your bucket list destination. We're here for the second stop on the FIL IBA Special Luge World Cup in this world-famous ski resort that contains multiple mountains for skiing in Whistler Mountain and Blackcomb. There's a peak-to-peak gondola linking 16 alpine bowls, 3 glaciers, more than 200 runs, and over 8,000 acres of skiable terrain on a single trail map. The Whistler Village has all the restaurants and shops you could think of. Hey guys, I'm Kate Hansen, a 2014 Winter Olympian from Sochi, and we are here on the second stop of the IBA Special Luge World Cup Tour. We're here starting in Whistler, and we've got the village right behind us, but over here is the Olympic Medals Plaza, and get this, they had over 200 medal ceremonies here during the Olympics. It's insane. Now we're gonna walk through this village, we're gonna take a cute look at this place because it's stunning and it's incredible, but before they do that, you need to know that the FIL started their opening weekend last week in Innsbruck, Austria. Here's a look at how it all went down.
A brand new season on the IBA Special Luge World Cup opening this year, as it does so many seasons outside of Innsbruck, Austria, at the great track in Eagles. It was a memorable weekend for the home country of Austria. This is men's doubles, and the team of 2 former singles sliders, Yannick Müller and Armin Frausche, took the lead, moving up from 7th place. Now in second after the first run, a young Austrian team, Gott and Schoff, looking for their first ever World Cup victory. They needed to be perfect. They were perfect. As they crossed the finish line, 800ths ahead of their teammates. It was Austria 1 and 2, Germany 3 and 4, but 1 sled remained. The Olympic bronze medalists and several-time World Cup winners, Stoy and Kola, dominated the World Cup the last time it was held here on their home track. Stoy has come back from several injuries, and they are certainly among the best in the world week in and week out, but this was week out of sorts as they fell behind Gott and Schuffs. All the same, there was plenty to cheer about in Innsbruck as Austria swept the podium 1, 2, and 3. Moving on now to the men's singles competition, and if you think 1, 2, 3 is good, how about 1, 2, 3, 4? That was the situation with Wolfie Kindle leading the way. Kindle, a 2-time world champion back in 2017 on this track. Hot off an Olympic bronze medal in his last international race. Kindle crosses, holding up the number 1 as he led the way. Then it was Jonas Müller. Müller, also a World Cup winner on this home track of his several seasons ago. Big crowd on hand to celebrate out of the Kreisel. And then when he negotiated through 8 and 9 and down to the lower labyrinth and across the finish, it was not enough as Müller falls just behind Wolfgang Kindl. Austria guaranteed the podium at this point, but who would be the winner? Nico Gleicher. He's played second fiddle to his brother, the Olympic champion David Gleicher, but Nico did win a World Cup race 2 seasons ago. He was solid all last year. Could he make his way to the top of the podium? Yes, he does. 139.283 in front of his brother, in front of his parents, Gerhard and Sabine, cheering in the stands. And Wolfgang Kindl on the podium will hold up 4 fingers to represent a 1, 2, 3, 4 Austria domination. Now, in its second season in the World Cup, it's women's doubles. First year that the women's doubles are competing alongside their counterparts, the men and the singles competition at the main World Cup site. Here are the Italians, Andi Vetter and Marianne Oberhofer, both standout singles athletes trying out doubles this year and doing quite well. Now here's an experienced doubles team, the defending world champions, Degenhardt and Rosenthal. Jessica Degenhardt, a former junior world champion, Rosenthal, a former podium winner in singles, and they have been the team to beat heading into this season and certainly all of last year. But they would be beaten this year because the home cooking continued for Austria. Selina Egla and Lara Kipp. They led after the first run. They ended up putting down the fastest time in both heats. Selina Egla, another singles/doubles competitor, wins her first ever World Cup race alongside Lara Kipp. A look at those results, while the Britcher Sweeney team and Stramatraru of Romania also represent singles athletes that are doing double duty this year. Speaking of Sweeney, Emily Sweeney of the United States in the first women's singles race, AN, meaning after Natalie. Natalie Geisenberger, the greatest of all time, is at least taking this year off. She was on hand to watch the action, and in the sunshine, the American is in the lead with 2 remaining. They are 2 formidable athletes who have won most of the races not captured by Geisenberger over the last couple of years. Julia Tobitz, a world champion, a World Cup overall champion, always fast in the lower part of the track, but not quite fast enough as she's picked off by the American in the final few meters of this track. Now, we've all seen Madeleine Egla come on over the last several years. The tall Austrian with the fast starts has been putting on muscle. She's been adding speed. Add to that a home track where she was clearly unbeatable all weekend long. Madeleine Egla, who just missed out in the World Cup overall last season, starts this new year on a high note as she wins Austria, USA, Germany, leading the way and making up most of the top 10. Also taking place in the opening World Cup race were the sprint competitions, and the winning streak continued as, for the first time ever, Mueller and Frauscher captured the doubles. Selina and Lara make it a double header in women's doubles as they win for the second time this weekend. In the men's singles, it wasn't a sweep, but it was Nico Gleische winning again ahead of the world champion Kindle. And finally, in the sprint women's singles, that title goes to Madeleine Egla, again taking it over Sweeney and Tobitz. If you've been doing the math, 8 races, 8 gold medals for the home country of Austria.
Athletes love coming to Whistler. It's one of the most popular destinations on the circuit. I mean, you can see why. We're in the village. There's so many restaurants. There's so many shops. And they even know that there's a big race happening this weekend. We're seeing a lot of luge love, letting people know that there's an event going on this weekend. Now, we asked some of the athletes, what is it like to be back in Whistler? And here's what they said.
It's beautiful. It's really one of the nicest places we go with luge. So pretty cool.
I think a lot of them were a little bit nervous about this. You know, Whistler has, just because of the high speed, it's got a little bit of a reputation, but, you know, everyone's going to get a grip on it for sure.
It's a nice feeling, yeah. The pretty place, pretty track, fastest on the world, so it's really nice.
Yeah, it's a very nice place here, Whistler, nice track. Here, very feeling good. The athletes, it's all just new athletes here. It's a small training for this athlete. It's very good.
It's a good feeling. I mean, we couldn't come here for since 2019, and now we're back. It's amazing here. I mean, weather is beautiful. It's snowing. It's so good here.
Yeah, it was nice. It's snowing. It's like really winter.
Yeah, it's an awesome feeling. It's great here. The nature is awesome, and I have to learn a little bit more of the track, but it's great to be back.
I mean, they're all stoked. It's so much fun. It's a fast track and beautiful place. I mean, it's dumping snow right now, which isn't great for the track itself, but hopefully they can keep it clean and we can have some good racing.
Yeah, sure. It's a pretty interesting track, pretty funny track, and with the high speed, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good to be back in America. So yeah, the last 2 years were a little bit crazy. So right now back here in Whistler, and then next week in Park City, it's really great. I like the track. I like here all the mountains. So it's a perfect place for sliding.
Now we're still strolling through Whistler. It's so beautiful and incredible here, but you need to know the news of the season is that the FIL has rolled out a brand new discipline, women's doubles luge. The women finally have a seat at the table, and these women have been training for years, just waiting on the edge of their seat to see if it was going to make it into the 2026 Milan Cortina Games, and luckily for them, it is. We asked a lot of the athletes and coaches how they felt about it, and they're stoked.
Well, I tell you, it's really, after watching the first race in Innsbruck, it's nice to see everyone stepping up to the plate, and it's a legitimate discipline, and it's good to see. It's really good to see.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It was something new, and we try it, and then we will see how it's going.
I think it's very nice for the girls also to make this discipline, and it's a nice, very good event, and yeah, it's good for our sport.
I think so. I think we're seeing like gender equality being pushed across so many different sports, and I'm glad that Luge has also joined that kind of coalition.
It's amazing. It's more like a team sport, and that's very cool for us girls because it's an opportunity to have.
Yes, this is a new discipline in this season, new Olympic discipline. It's very nice, very well. I hope so. Good continue with Milano Cortina in 2026.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great opportunity also for the ladies to try out doubles, and as we've seen so far, they're doing quite well.
Always, I like it's some new sports.
This is Kevin. I'm changing the camera battery on the studio camera. Don't freak out.
Fun. Oh, it's fantastic, man. It's awesome to have some more women on the circuit, for one, and just another discipline in general. Just, expands the sport, hopefully.
I was talking to a few of the athletes once we came to Whistler, and they were talking about how it's so nice to be back in Whistler. Because of COVID, the athletes haven't been able to come to North America. In fact, the last race that was here, I believe, was November of 2019. And some of the athletes that you're going to see this weekend, this is their first time at the track. Now, to give a little bit more info of what happened back in 2019, here's some highlights from the last World Cup that was here.
Action from the always exciting Whistler track. This was the last World Cup held here in December of 2019. Doubles competition, the young Russians, Kashkin and Korshunov, were in the top 5 after the first run and did even better in run number 2 as they slid themselves into first place. Would it hold on for a Russian victory? Well, as always, the Germans had something to say about it. And here are Toni Egert and Sascha Bennigan. The defending World Cup champs were just 7 thousandths of a second behind their German countrymates after run number 1, and they sent a huge message with a track record here in run number 2 as they took over the lead, stood down at the bottom, and watched as their teammates and greatest rivals, the Tobys, headed down the track. Vendel and Alt, now 3-time Olympic champions, but this would not be their day. Egert and Bennigan had such a great track record run, and the Tobys did well, but not well enough. They crossed the finish line in second place, 600ths of a second behind, as Toni Egert and Sascha Bennigan capture the World Cup in Whistler on their way to winning another World Cup overall title. Moving now to the women's singles competition, and here's Victoria Demchenko. Always exciting to watch as this Russian has been on the podium many times, even has a World Cup victory, but has also been known to crash on more than one occasion. But this was a good day for Demchenko as she moved all the way up from 8th place and into the lead with several sleds remaining in run number 2. Moving forward now to the German, Anna Bierreiter. The Bavarian in just her second year on the World Cup. She looked smooth as ever as Coach Norbert Locke brought a couple of young athletes to Whistler in 2019. Bierreiter and Cheyenne Rosenthal, both in just their second year, their first full season, and Bierreiter ensures herself a podium position with one sled remaining. And that sled ridden by Tatiana Ivanova. Ivanova, 2014 Olympic silver medalist in team relay and winner of 16 World Cup races throughout her long career. The Russian would go on to win bronze at the 2022 Winter Olympic Games, but on this day in Whistler, she did better with a gold medal and a World Cup victory. It was Russia and Germany dominating the leaderboard for the women. Moving on finally to the men's competition in this final 2019 World Cup before the Christmas break. Dominic Fischnaller, always steady, always smooth, had a disappointing run number 1 back in 7th place. But the Sioux Tyrolean was near perfect in run number 2 as he crashes down across the finish without crashing, 0.2 of a second ahead of Reini Eger of Austria. 2 now left to come. And here is Felix Lach, the 2-time Olympic gold medalist, just a few months removed from his heartbreaking finish at the 2018 Olympic Games. He had another bit of a heartbreak down there at the finish, but he had enough speed going as Lach takes the lead. Would Germany capture gold here in Whistler? Well, this Russian had something to say about it. The 2-time world champion, Roman Rapilov, a former junior world champion, a World Cup overall winners in his still young career. Rapilov wins his first race of the 2019-2020 season, 139.713. It was a leaderboard filled with many different nations, Russia winning 2 out of the 3 races.
So as you can see in the heart of Whistler Village, so many restaurants, so many shops, a lot of après-ski. If you know what I'm talking about, we're at here at the base of this mountain. This mountain is incredible to ski, some of the best vertical in North America. So if you haven't been here, you got to make the trek out here. Now, one of my favorite parts of this village is this gondola right here. Head straight to Whistler Sliding Center. If you don't know about this track, you should know. It's one of the fastest in the world, so fast that I actually broke my back here one time many years ago. Also why I'm in front of the camera now instead of on a sled. But if you want to know more about it, we have a brand new segment with this studio show called Tracks of the World. And someone to tell you a little bit more about it, he's more qualified than I am to tell you about it. It's 2018 silver medalist Chris Masder.
Welcome to Whistler, Canada, home of the 2010 Winter Olympic track and one of the fastest luge tracks in all of the world. To make it to the bottom with a winning time, you need a really strong start to carry you through the flat upper sections of the track and perfect aerodynamic position to cut through the air when you're going 80 miles per hour. The key to this track is the 11-12-13 combination. And when we first came here, Curve 13 was known as 50-50 because only half of the athletes were making it through. Once you're through that section, it feels like you're being shot out of a cannon, and you have Curve 16 Thunderbird to catch you. When you make it into this curve right, it feels like you're banking really hard in a jet, but done wrong, it feels like you're hitting a wall. When you make it to the bottom with really clean lines, this track is so much fun.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. Love all the info about this track. But everybody, welcome to our FIL studio live. We're here at the finish at the Whistler Sliding Center. And as you can see, it's an incredible day. I mean, this is an iconic day to come watch the sport. It's great for spectators. However, snow kind of is a curveball for some of these athletes that are going to be sliding down. It changes track conditions. I know they've tried to keep the shades down on the track, but it always just... we never know how it goes with snow. But with the races this weekend, there was a lot of fun sliding yesterday. If you missed the men's race, it was tight racing. Felix Lach pulled out his 50th win ever. It was incredible. So happy for him. Here are your highlights.
The Eberspecho Luge World Cup moved to North America and Whistler, Canada. The men's singles competition, Dominic Fischnaller, fresh off of his bronze medal at last winter's Olympic Games. He was in 3rd place after run number 1, and the Italian negotiates his way down the track. He rarely makes mistakes, and he didn't make any today, as he would cross the finish line into the lead with 2 sleds remaining. It was a clean run, it was a fast run, but would it be fast enough? Wolfi Kindl of Austria, the Olympic silver medalist who has won on this track in the past, was looking for his 11th career World Cup victory. Kindl generally finds his speed down at the bottom of the track, and he did it again today. He was 100th up at the second to last split, but as he crossed around the finish curve, the Austrian bangs across, but in the lead with one remaining. Austria won all of the races of the week before on their home track. Could they keep the winning streak alive? Well, the two-time Olympic gold medalist from Germany, Felix Loch, would have something to say about it. Felix was in search of an historical 50th career World Cup win. He had a good lead after the first run, and he opened it up here in run number 2. The Bavarian captures his first race of the season and the 50th World Cup win of his career. It was Latvia and USA rounding out the top 5, but the podium belonged to 3 Olympic medalists.
Luge World Cup here in Whistler. Here in Whistler, the men's race is always intense, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see the doubles go down today. But Chris, are you in the booth? What's our weather? What's happening today?
I can't see the weather, but I walked the bottom of the track this morning, and despite the heavy snowfall that we had last night, the track crew did an amazing job. The track looks amazing. I don't know how they did it, but the ice is hard, it is clean, and snow didn't really get into the track. Now that the shades have been lifted, however, we're going to see if the snow gets into there. It's going to be a really fast track.
It does. It looks like it from here. I know the snow kind of sends mixed messages, but the track crew really is incredible. I want to know, Chris, what are your predictions on today? What are you thinking?
I mean, predictions for today. You saw an Austrian sweep last week. They're not on their home track, so I think some of those teams don't have a lot of experience here, so it's all about consistency. On a double sled, it is extremely fast, so the teams that maintain position are confident with their sliding ability. They're going to succeed. I think this is going to come down to a little bit of experience, in my opinion.
All right, we'll have to see today. But again, we had other races happen yesterday. If you missed them, our women's race also was tight. Austria came out again on top. They had an incredible opening weekend in Eagles, Austria. Here are those highlights from yesterday.
Western Canada, the Whistler Sliding Center, the site for the second race this season on the Eberspecher Luge World Cup. Women's singles, the defending world champion, Julia Tobitz, the Thuringian, who is always fast down at the bottom part of this track, trying to come back from a rather disappointing Olympic Games. And Tobitz makes her way down. She was in third place after the first run, and she crosses in the lead with 2 remaining. Tobitz guarantees a podium spot for Germany. They held the top 3 spots with 2 remaining. The World Cup leader, Madeleine Egler of Austria. She won both races on her home track the weekend before. Egler has captured 7 World Cup victories, all in the last couple of seasons. She also had 1 disappointing run at the Olympic Games. Other than that, she was as fast as anyone. And that was the case again today as she bangs across the finish as she hits the finish line, but she had the lead with just 1 remaining. This was the story of the day. Merle Frebel of Germany in her first World Cup trip ever to North America. Coach Norbert Block likes to bring young athletes across the pond for World Cup experience. It paid off in 2019 as Bierreiter and Rosenthal captured World Cup podiums. With Frebel continue the tradition. She doesn't hold on to the lead, but she hangs on to the podium. A sensational debut effort for this German, but the victory goes to Madeleine Egler. She is 3 for 3 in this young season. Germany holds down the next 4 spots and smiles across the way in the leaderboard. Naturally, with the victory, Egler continues to lead the World Cup with 200 points over Tobitz and American Emily Sweeney, who had 2 second-place finishes the weekend before. And in the World Cup overall, Egler, as I mentioned, 3 for 3 as she takes a big lead into the race in Park City.
Incredible racing this weekend. This is the second stop on the Eberspecher World Cup Tour. It's going to be so much fun today. This is our second and last day of racing for the weekend. And today's a little different. It's our doubles competition, but they're combining the men's race and the women's race. This is the second time only that women have been on the Senior World Cup Tour. Chris, how excited are you about women's doubles?
I love new things because it all comes down to preparation, right? This is a brand new program. Athletes are coming together for the first time. A lot of men's doubles athletes take years to make it to the World Cup level. And these athletes are being thrown together sometimes this year and trying to figure out under these hard conditions. It's really exciting, and it's really pushing our sport forward.
Well, it's something needed in the sport. A lot of people are excited about it, and we're excited about today. So everybody, you're going to have to switch over to the other feed so you can see the live results from this World Cup. Everybody get ready, grab a coffee, grab a snack, whatever you need, because we're going to have a lot of racing today. People are vying for that overall cup and to get some medals today. So everybody switch on over, and we'll see you on the live feed. Thanks for joining us today.